Girua Airport gets a facelift, the first since independence. House set on fire following an argument. And community effort results in electricity for thousands.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening and thank you for joining me for Sunday's news. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill travelled into the sleepy town of Popondetta to open the newly refurbished operating theatre. Speaking at Popondetta General Hospital, PM O'Neill says more work needs to be done in improving health services throughout the country. He says politics should not stop leaders in delivering better services to the people. Prior to the elections last year, Governor Giri and his supporters prevented the PNC-led government from conducting formalities for the new facilities. Both leaders, however, were all smiles when they officiated this time around.
Following the opening of Girua Airport, the Prime Minister was given a red carpet welcome at the Popondetta General Hospital. Staff, hospital management, provincial authorities and other government officials witnessed the opening by the Prime Minister.
Yep, that's it. Thank you.
The Prime Minister says for the first time, better services such as a new operating theatre will be built and equipped for people to use.
For the first time, we started allocating money for district hospitals. We are re-equipping them. And of course, where there's regional and provincial hospitals, we are establishing the Provincial Health Authority, which will take care of the management of the hospitals and, of course, the healthcare that our people need.
The management of Popondetta General Hospital has also played a big role in raising funds for equipment in the theatre. The Prime Minister says such initiative is strongly supported by the government, but more work needs to be done.
Don't stop because we've got a new facility here. Every year we have to try and improve on what we have so that we can have the best of what is medically possible for our people in...
Construction of the operating theatre began in 2014. Now the facility is prepared to carry out operations for patients who visit the hospital. Governor Giri says politics has its boundaries, but serving the people is the main goal.
But we're all going to put aside whatever political differences when it comes time to serve our people. That should always be paramount. Having said that, I do the best I can to be critical so that the Prime Minister can also take note of some of the criticism that we raise, because, you know, there may be use in that criticism and you can find out where we all need to improve in some way. So,
Prime Minister Peter O'Neill was given a tour of the facility. Jack Lepave Jr., National EMTV News.
Girua Airport in Northern Province will now increase its services. This follows the completion of the upgrade of airport facilities under the CADEP program. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill held hands with Governor Giri to officiate the new-look terminal built in partnership with the national government and World Bank.
After years of prolonged wait and delays, Prime Minister Peter O'Neill led a government delegation to Popondetta to officially open the new facelift given to Girua Airport. The terminal was given a traditional handmark, improved runway, better luggage belts and a new interior look. Civil Aviation Minister Alfred Manasseh says the upgrade of facilities will see the level of services lifted.
The airside improvement will allow the current operating aircrafts to operate at the full capacity, increasing passenger and freight capacity. The landside works, including the new terminal, will improve the safety and security of our air traveling public and aircrafts.
The upgrade of Girua is under government's CADEP program to upgrade and maintain ports throughout the country with the support of the Asian Development Bank. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill says despite the tough economic times, the government is doing its best so people benefit.
You know, we are going right across the country in delivering this key infrastructure that is going to serve our people. Ours is a challenging country that requires this kind of infrastructure so that our people can have the opportunity to have access to better services, better education, better health care, and making sure that they improve their standard of living.
The upgrade of Girua Airport took almost close to 2 years to complete. Governor Giri says landowners must be at the forefront of any development.
One of the reasons why this project took so long to take off was because the landowners had not been consulted adequately, where all it took was an effort to interact, communicate with our landowners so that they understand where they fit in, where they participate, and how they too can be beneficiaries of the project.
With Northern Province a seasonal tourist destination, calls have been made to have international flights into Girua.
The fact now that we have a new airport terminal, I am looking forward to the prospect of when we can receive international flights directly from Australia, especially during the tourist season.
It's been great pleasure in opening Girua Airport and the terminal. Thank you.
Jack Lepave Jr., National EMTV News.
A house belonging to a family in Port Moresby went up in flames today after one of the family members set it on fire. The neighbors told EMTV News an argument between siblings, a brother and a sister, resulted in the brother setting fire to a curtain in one of the rooms. He was taken by the police soon after firemen put out the flames. Although the firemen were at the scene, they were not quick enough to save the house. 3 other houses within the fence, which was rented by other families, were not affected by the fire. No one was hurt during the incident.
Well, they were family matters, I think, and Lily Brab Lumera was chorus to something, and he just lit up the house, and the whole family took off. Mera took off, and some other guys on the vehicle, and the brother was left behind alone in the house. So Bellard Lema, he went inside and he started a fire. That's what we saw. But he started it earlier on. It was already huge when it started coming out from the window. We saw that there was flames and really big smoke coming out. So we called the fire department, but it was too late when they came here. The fire already spread throughout the house.
A Papua New Guinean civil engineer has given a depressing outlook on the state of roads in the country, pointing out that costs are inflated because of bad engineering practices and poor accountability. Brian Alois, who spoke in his capacity as the president of the Institution of Engineers PNG, showed costs had risen as the pre-construction investigation and assessment decreased over the last 20 years. Alois, who is one of several senior government engineers in Papua New Guinea, showed examples of cost inflation that confirmed public criticisms that government contracts were costing too much and that the quality of service had dropped.
Over the past 20 years, the cost of roads have risen from the average 100,000 kina per kilometre to the current average of 3 to 10 million kina per kilometre. There are a number of factors that have caused this dramatic inflation of cost. The most prominent has been the fact that pre-construction investigation and assessment on many projects is not done as per PNG standards. Speaking as president of the Institute of Engineers of PNG, Brian Alois says a lot of the rates are being dictated to government by the contractors.
Of the 30,000 kilometers of roads, about 9,000 are national function. It's been talked about a lot of times. Even our national roads are reducing in size because you mean not complete him. Go stop namel, and then the roads are deteriorating at the back of. And then we have to come back. The will come back and do it again. The roads will backside through here and we'll reduce it now because deteriorate and we don't use him now. So
Brian Alois's comments touch only the tip of the proverbial iceberg of the road maintenance and construction problems in Papua New Guinea. Over the last 40 years, Papua New Guinea's road system has been allowed to deteriorate to a point where it's become painfully expensive to fix. Against a total annual national budget of 14 billion kina, the Works Department says it needs at least 4 billion to get all the roads in good working order.
Some of the figures we're getting from the Institute of Engineers and from Works now, the disparity in terms of the cost difference is just mind-blowing. So we need to really look at how do we make sure we are getting value for money and paying for road at a cost that is affordable.
The government is dealing with a past legacy of bad decisions. The removal of the construction and maintenance function from the Works Department in the 1990s resulted in the increased dependence on the profit-driven private sector. Funding to the Works Department was cut, works camps were removed, and the training of skilled personnel by the Works Department stopped.
Before we got all pet course, now we know more pet course. Now it's an advanced diploma program only from LATEC. So all pet courses and finish now. LATEC are producing all this lines. Akam no workload all foremen and supervisors. Okay, no more curriculum change or education reform. Something. Our civil engineering training center along Medan. So producing all foremen now supervisors, all overseers, leading ends, and two and past finish since 1995. Okay, plant operator school of operator too and past finish too. You mean no more training on plant operator now. So all now all manual operating on machine, they are not qualified operators. They're all grease boy. All man also sinanta lo machine, lugom lo man operating machine go, reversing come, pumping fuel go inside, greasy machine go. Because every day they pack the machine, reverse the machine. Can all go feel all can operating machine now.
Brian Alois says Papua New Guinea's education system over the last 20 years has focused on producing more engineers with degrees and less on the technicians who play a crucial role in the actual road building. Scott Wide, National EMTV News, Lae.
A landowner group from East Kikori has rejected the leadership of former MP Mark Maipakai. Board of Directors for Gopera Investments say no financial reports were provided under Mr. Maipakai's leadership for the past 15 years. The board also spelled out its disappointment on the level of services lacking in the east of Kikori area. The Board of Directors have now announced the rejection of Mr. Maipakai as chairman of Gopera Investments.
So long, East Kikori people have suffered. We want to tell Kikori people, Gao people and Papua New Guinea that Mark Maipakai is not the landowner and not the chairman and director of Gopera Investment.
You're with National EMTV News. We'll be back with more of the day's other stories when we come back. Stay tuned. Welcome back. In a settlement in Port Moresby where different ethnicities live, a denomination has reached out to the community by opening a church building and a pastor's house. The Evangelical Church of Papua New Guinea, which already has 11 other churches located in the city, opened the buildings to give opportunities for multicultural communities to fellowship together and live peacefully.
PNG now has 12 churches altogether in Port Moresby, mostly located near or in the settlement areas such as Kaugere, Morata and Joyce Bay. Pastor Kewe explains that multi-ethnic communities often do not understand each other and live in separate blocks. He said the establishment of the fellowship is to bring peace into communities by engaging youths and members of the community to actively participate in the church and keep them away from doing illegal activities.
Government by sending man outside, but churches you may work on them spiritual change is in a man, and we can reflect outside the good community by government looks out black.
The Evangelical Church of Papua New Guinea became a national church in 1966. ECP missionary Don Mosley began his work in the Western Province and other parts of the Papuan Gulf region and soon moved over to Hela and the Southern Highlands Province. The church since then has grown to be one of the largest denominations in the country and has sent missionaries to some of the most rural parts of PNG.
A conference that ECPNC, but you will move. ECPNC, I'm establish you. ECPNC, I'm establish government, but I'm establish you, not me.
The occasion was also witnessed by the member for Northeast and Housing Minister John Kaupa. Kaupa congratulated the church in assisting communities around the country where the government had failed. He committed 20,000 kina to the church.
One way or the other, work church, work help him. Government in partnership to bring this country forward. Now you may all get a masamas work church inside the country, Papua New Guinea.
1, 2, 3, Padiman.
Stacey Yallo, National MTV News.
Also in the Moresby Northeast Electorate, one man's initiative to bring electricity to a community of about 4,000 people has grabbed the government's attention. Member and Housing Minister John Cowper, together with government officials and a delegation from PNG Power, visited Saivara Real Estate at 9 Mile yesterday to launch electricity supply for the community. The community has been living without access to proper power, water and road in the past years.
The Saivara community has been living without proper water connection, electricity and road. However, this community has not waited for the government to provide these vital services. Previous Northeast member had managed to connect the houses with water, but the project was not completed. With the help of a resident, Peter Darius, and a few partners, the community now has access to clean water to their houses. Yesterday, Peter Darius went further to light up the community with a 1 kilometer power supply into Saivara. In Port Moresby alone, 13% of houses have electricity. While the government aims to connect 70% of these houses by 2030, PNG Power's Director of Strategic Planning, Mr. Kovac, says this would be a challenge.
We know we have a responsibility to our shareholders, who are you, Papua New Guineans, to make affordable, reliable and efficient electricity a right, not a privilege.
Local Member and Housing Minister John Cowper was impressed with the community effort. He said such initiative will receive government support. He pledged to support the community and extend electricity to Three Corner, Gena Block and Whitestone areas.
Na emi lugo sem disla need blo power emi stablo here. So use him own resource plongen.
Cowper, who is also the NCD Commissioner, said a 4-lane road will be connecting the community to 6 Mile.
Na disla 9 Mile market tamblo. Cemetery nego tamblo, and by big market by stop, housing by stop, police station by stop.
Stacey Yallo, National MTV News.
Close to a month on following the magnitude 7.5 earthquake, help is still slow in reaching communities in Western Province. This concern was raised by Western Governor Thabo Yoto. Speaking in Port Moresby, Governor Yoto called on the government through the Disaster Coordination Team to also deliver relief to the people of Western Province.
The Western Province Governor held a media conference to discuss a range of issues, among them the effects of the recent magnitude 7.5 earthquake. He said whilst the country was prone to disasters, the response from the National Disaster Office was unsatisfactory, with relief reaching affected communities very late.
The national government and the National Disaster Unit did not have the capacity to respond immediately. It took a while. I think the National Disaster Office confirmed that. It took them 11 days. After 11 days, they were able to respond.
In light of the disaster, Oktedi Mine in Western Province donated 50 million kina to relief efforts. According to Governor Yoto, the Western Province needs some of these funds to also carry out relief and restoration work in the province.
So we will need that money to do our impact assessment and help our own people in Western Province. So the National Disaster Control Office in Port Moresby should give that money directed to our disaster team in the province to address our needs in the province. Thank you.
Among affected areas has been the Nomad Falls in between the border of North Fly and Middle Fly. According to North Fly MP James Donald, the local members of parliament have done all they can to assist in the early stages. However, what is now needed is more funding to continue relief efforts in affected communities.
Impact district is North Fly, that's where my district is, and the people of Nomad, the surrounding also with LLG, everybody is affected and they are displaced. We've been trying to take side.
Among immediate priorities for Western Province is the need to rebuild critical infrastructure, especially in the affected areas in North Fly and Middle Fly districts.
We would like to do rehabilitation and infrastructure construction for our people who have no homes, and we need money to do that. So it is more or less a call now that any support that is coming, I would ask equal and fair distribution of all those donors or monies that is coming in.
Meribatulo, National EMTV News.
PNG Air have dispatched their Dash 8 freighter with 3 tons of much-needed food and medical supplies for survivors of the Southern Highlands earthquake. PNG Air Chairman Mari Wu says the freight has no charge to assist with people in need. The donated supplies have been collected by a relief coordination team and then dispatched to affected communities in Hela and Southern Highlands. The airline company also passed their condolences to families of those affected by the recent disaster. Lazarus Toa is a nominee for the 2018 Commonwealth Youth Awards for Excellence in Development Work. He has been acknowledged for his contribution towards developing a sustainable and prosperous future for the Commonwealth. Out of 5 finalists for the Pacific region, Lazarus Toa is the only finalist representing PNG. When faced with logistical challenges, Toa made mention on his Facebook page and members on his page. Current job vacancies repost with LT began to send in donations.
Lazarus Toa has been acknowledged for his contribution towards developing a sustainable and prosperous future for the Commonwealth. Of the 5 finalists who have been selected in the Pacific region, Toa will be the only one representing PNG. The work of the Commonwealth is anchored in the belief that empowered young people are assets of their societies.
Intergovernmental organization which made up of 53 nations around the world, which PNG is one of those Commonwealth countries. And as a Papua New Guinean, I am very, very grateful to be a citizen of the Commonwealth.
Although being acknowledged as a finalist for this award, Toa is faced with a challenge, and that is the logistics of getting to England in April. The award provides accommodation and covers all costs when there. However, the finalist is required to make their own way to England. Toa posted the great challenge he was facing on his Facebook page. When his Facebook followers saw this post, they started to support. Although discouraged that many organizations have given negative responses in supporting this trip, seeing individuals step in to help him made his spirit soar.
And supported me so far. I promise them that I will represent you well by attending this Commonwealth forum at UK, and I will ensure that your voices and the struggles that we faced in the country are heard on the Commonwealth arena.
Toa, in his own time, using his own resources, has helped over 150 individuals gain full-time employment. To be a part of the team to send an ambassador who has not only helped individuals get employment, but families sustain themselves, your support can be placed in this account. To get more information, you can follow him on his Facebook page, Current Job Vacancies Repost with LT.
Post my account details on my page, Current Job Vacancy Repost with LT. You can check this page and donate small amount, at least 5 kina or 10 kina will do when we add them up.
Lilian Soperakinea, National EMTV News.
Acting Special Services Division Commander Jim Namora was amongst the 8 SSD officers who were promoted last Friday. Director Namora was promoted to Chief Superintendent and assumed his post as head of the Special Service Division.
The 8 officers received their promotions in a parade consisting of 3 companies, including the Air Tactical Unit. The promotions were witnessed by Deputy Police Commissioner Operations Jim Andrews. From the 8th, Officer Cadet George Jim was promoted to Sub-Inspector. Chief Sergeants Robert Baim, Wakis Tuluap and Joseph Njoku were promoted to inspectors. Inspectors Kelly Sombe, Clappers Giami were both promoted to senior inspectors, while Chief Inspector Julius Tyson was promoted to Chief Superintendent. The highest ranking officer, Superintendent Jim Namora, was promoted to Chief Superintendent and confirmed as the SSD Director. Another promotion will be conducted on Tuesday at the SSD base at McGregor outside Port Moresby. Teklagunga, National EMTV News.
You're with Sunday's news, stories making headlines overseas. When we come back, stay with us for details. Welcome back to the news. Turning overseas, the streets of Washington, D.C. were full of angry students today demanding action on gun control. The crowd was so big it is thought to be the largest protest since the rallies against the Vietnam War in the 1960s. And they didn't just march on Washington. Millions gathered en masse right across the United States and around the world too.
A thundering force on the capital streets. Armed with homemade signs, outraged yet determined young protesters demanding stricter gun control laws.
It's honestly ridiculous that we don't have gun control. My son's in kindergarten. He had drills to practice in his class this month. So he understands that bad guys can come into his school.
People just need to be safe and know that everything's going to be okay when they go to school.
March for Our Lives is a student-driven movement sparked by the massacre at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School last month, where 17 people were killed. The devastated Florida community of Parklands turning grief into action, joined by hundreds of thousands more across America in over 300 rallies, including Atlanta, Georgia, Los Angeles, the largest in Washington, D.C.
Welcome to the revolution.
One by one, teenage victims from the February 14 mass shooting faced the large crowds.
Join me in sharing my pain and my anger. Day in and day out, our kids are getting shot up.
Standing by their side,
Renee King.
Martin Luther King's granddaughter repeating his most famous words.
I have a dream that enough is enough.
And Hollywood showing its support both on the stage and on the streets. Strength in numbers, a reminder that many of these young voices will be old enough to take part in the next election.
Stand for us or beware, the voters are coming.
Teenagers in the capital, sending one of the strongest messages for change yet, as the president spent the weekend at his golf course in Florida.
There's been a massive rescue effort underway at Australia's Hamlin Bay after a mass stranding of 150 pilot whales. 75 of them have already died.
Vast, powerful and yet entirely helpless. 150 giants of the sea now at its mercy. They are thought to be short-finned pilot whales, beached en masse overnight. Around half were still alive when they were discovered by a fisherman in the morning, but despite a major rescue operation, the survivors now number just 15. The attempts to return the whales to the water working for only so long.
The ones I've seen go back in the water, they actually come back around and beach themselves again. I watched one of them, it happened 3 times, and still it wouldn't go out to sea.
It's not the first time this has happened here. In fact, it's 9 years to the day since over 50 pilot whales died here in the same way. And yet, scientists still don't really know why such strandings occur.
I think it could possibly be due to storms or stormy weather that they've been having in this region. There was a similar stranding in this area in 1996, and there seemed to be a lot of stormy weather then as well. And pilot whales are very social animals, so if one or two of them strand, it's likely that others may go in to either assist or follow them.
The task now is to clear the dead to locate the living. A monumental effort, and rescuers don't have long. Authorities fear the mass graveyard will soon attract sharks and have warned people to stay away.
Back pain is the world's leading cause of disability, but medical experts believe millions of dollars are being wasted on the wrong treatment. Researchers say some problems could be solved with simple changes to your lifestyle.
60-year-old Robert is one of the 3.7 million Australians living with back pain. He suffered an acute injury 30 years ago.
The initial pain was horrific.
While the pain lingers, he fights it off by keeping active.
I do exercise every single morning. It's like getting up and brushing your teeth. You just do it and everything's good.
While medications have been tempting, Robert avoids using them. And that's the advice of Monash University researcher Professor Rochelle Bookbinder.
The things that we think are most harmful are imaging in the majority of people with non-specific pain, opioids, spine injections and surgery.
She says at least $1 billion is being wasted on unnecessary treatment.
If you're on opioids for prolonged periods, it actually delays recovery. You actually do worse than if you don't start opioids.
While researchers aren't saying patients should avoid taking painkillers if they desperately need them, they say they should only be taken for a short amount of time to allow them to get outside and exercise, and also recommend modifying activities to make them more bearable.
It's much better to stay active than to rest in bed.
The advice will be published in the global medical journal Lancet. It's hoped it will attract more funding for the condition. It coincides with a $2.5 million grant from the federal government to help launch a centre for excellence in research.
Northern Ireland has had its taste of the royal treatment. Prince Harry and fiancée Meghan Markle have visited Belfast. However, as one small boy in the crowd decided, sometimes royalty doesn't always come first.
As any expert on this city will tell you, no visit to Belfast is complete without dropping into the iconic bar, The Crown, where they still have gas lamps and confessional snugs, but as Prince Harry soon found out, no TVs.
You don't show sport? No.
They may not show sport, but you could barely find a better place to introduce your American fiancé to the delights of a local lunch. In this booth, Meghan had Irish stew, Harry sausage and champ. In the crowd outside the pub, we found 5-year-old Jude and his sister Thea. She had flowers for Meghan, he an Easter egg for Harry. But we didn't think Jude seemed hugely keen on handing over his gift.
Is that for Harry?
Yeah, maybe.
What's it? Show me.
So when his big moment came...
That is Harry right there.
And it was time for Jude to part with his chocolate egg, guess what?
Oh my God.
You don't want to give it to me though, you want to keep it.
And one prince went away empty-handed.
What are you going to do with this egg, Jude?
I'm going to share it with my sister.
You're going to share it with your sister. Good boy, because that's what Prince Harry told you to do, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Harry may not have got an egg, but there was another traditional Irish welcome for the couple. Some rain.
So it's raining for you?
But this is a part of the UK where the focus is often on politics rather than its people.
It's nice to see that they've took the interest to come over and see us, because sometimes I feel like we're a bit of a forgotten side of the United Kingdom.
But this afternoon at the Titanic attraction, there was at least one gift that was successfully handed over.
In the news ahead, Australian cricketers left embarrassed after their captain's confession to cheat South Africa in the third test. That story among others in Trukai Sports coming up next.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. Anglers on Ocean Dancer pulled in one of the biggest catch on day 3 of the national game fishing titles in Lae. 18 boats set sail yesterday morning and the total registered so far 34 billfish strikes, 19 billfish captured, 17 tagged and 2 brought in to be weighed. Girua Airport is following the anglers.
Well, as you can see, a lot of festivity and hype in the atmosphere around here at the club. Well, we've got to speak with the coordinator for the tournament, Dane, and this is what he had to say.
The guys that went down long, so went all the way past Salamoa down towards Morribee Patrol Post, Seahawk and Spin Easy, they did really well. Spin Easy actually had a triple hook up and then a double hook up, which is pretty fantastic. And Black Label, they went all the way towards Tammy Island, and they also netted themselves 3 billfish today and weighed one of them. So those guys are right out in front at the moment. And after the day they've had today, I think they'll be hard to catch.
How long have you been fishing?
About almost 2 years.
Is this the biggest catch you've had so far?
I think so, yes.
Talk me through it. What was going through your mind when it first got onto the line?
Very tiring.
Very tiring. Do you want it to be over pretty quick?
Yeah.
So who was with you on the boat when you made the catch?
My uncle and my dad and my brother.
Was it a proud moment for you to bring that on board with your dad and your brothers there?
Yes.
What about tomorrow? Do you think you're going to get a bigger fish?
I'll try.
Day 1 of the 43rd National Game Fishing Titles Tournament got off to a flying start. This morning, 18 boats left the harbour in search for the big one, and we had some very special numbers to come in. 17 tag and release and 2 brought in, captured for the weigh-in.
Because I said to the guys today when we first went out that I've got some things on my bucket list that I want to achieve, and one of it is to catch a marlin. And I just can't believe that today that the team, we caught one. Yeah, look, I was the angler who pulled it in, but it's a team effort when you actually pull in something of that size.
Part of the buzz today, there was a special catch of the day. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, well, you're right. So one of our teams, 2 ladies, long-term lay girls, they were out there today. And Stephanie Ramu was midway through fighting her billfish when her long-term partner, Mark Bruiser Thomas, I think you spoke to him yesterday, got down on one knee and proposed. Apparently she didn't know whether to go for the ring or for the fish. So absolutely fantastic. So they got catch of the day today, and that's one I don't think he'll be releasing anytime soon.
Yes, all you single blokes, the bar's been raised. Be warned. Cheers, guys. Lovely work.
Well, some very, very interesting things happening on day 1 of the tournament, and we can only hope, fingers crossed, that it can only get better. Girua Airport, National EMTV Sports, Lae.
Port Moresby National Bowling Club held its finals today. Among the bowlers are Commonwealth Games representatives who are finalising their preparations before heading off to the Gold Coast.
The Port Moresby Men's National Pairs Bowling Championship started yesterday and ended on a high today with top 6 winners from the Metro Bowling Club.
Finals today, and seems like Metro is the host. They got all the placing, like from first placing down to 6th place, and I think the 7th and the 8th placing goes to the Defence Bowling Club.
He says the event also attracted young players.
The winners for this year's men's pairs title goes to Matu Baso and Gabriel Tika, and the runner-ups, the 2nd place goes to Vela Vele and Kerry Walls, and 3rd placing goes to Gariga Babuna and small Alan Kautu. They were juniors participating together with the men's pairs, and they did very well, coming up 3rd placing. And the 4th placing goes to Alan Kusnan and Gabriel Simeon. They are good young bowlers too.
Also participating in the event were Commonwealth Games representative side. They were kept under the watchful eyes of manager Andy Agovawa.
We have two teams. The men's team, we have 5 players, captained by Pauline Pomaliu, and the women's team, we have 5 players too, captained by Miss Loa Bapana. They're the most experienced players in the team.
He says the players have been preparing well, attending club competitions and international fixtures as lead-up events to the Commonwealth Games.
Yeah, we've been having our club matches, club games, sanctioned games, and just recently we had completed the national PES as part of the lead-up matches for men's. And we have 2 of our PES team taking part in Gabriel Tika and Matubazo. They just finished on top, beating their rivals Kerry Walls and Vela Vele.
It seems that first placing for men's national PES is the 2 reps for this country right now, Matubazo and Gabriel Tika. They won the men's national PES this year. So it's a good sign for the Commonwealth team. And we wish them good luck when they go and play in Commonwealth Games. Yeah.
Godwin Eki, National EMTV Sports.
To cricket, it's been a dramatic day in Australian sport and things are likely to get a whole lot worse for national cricket captain Steve Smith. Cricket Australia's integrity chief Ian Roy and high-performance manager Pat Howard are tonight flying to Cape Town to confront the ball tampering scandal. Repercussions and fallout from the 3rd test against South Africa have been pretty swift. Opening batsman Cameron Bancroft faces a suspension from the game after he carried out a plan to tamper with the ball that was hatched by Smith and the Aussie leadership group during the lunch break on day 3.
In Melbourne, Cricket Australia Chief Executive James Sutherland was a man under fire.
This is unprecedented, it's shameful.
As he fronted media to discuss the actions of a team 10,000 kilometres away in Cape Town.
I am shocked and extremely disappointed. This is a very sad day for Australian cricket.
There will, however, be no immediate sacking of Captain Steve Smith, and he says he's going nowhere.
No, I won't be considering stepping down. I still think I'm the right person for the job. Obviously today was a big mistake on my behalf and on the leadership group's behalf as well.
Back in 1994, former England skipper Mike Atherton was fined for ball tampering. Now working as a TV commentator, he says Smith is very much a man under pressure.
The series is a little out of control, and I think that's where Cricket Australia will be asking questions of Steve Smith. You're the captain, are you in control of the ship?
And if so, for how much longer?
In the course of the next couple of days, we will get to the bottom of this and we will take appropriate action.
What is known is that on day 3 of the 3rd test between South Africa and Australia, Cameron Bancroft tried to rough up the ball with a piece of yellow tape and then tried to hide the evidence by stuffing it down his pants. The decision to deliberately cheat was cooked up by Smith and others at the lunch break.
The coaches weren't involved. It was purely the players and the leadership group that came up with this.
I'll be honest with you, I was obviously nervous about it because, with thousands of, hundreds of cameras around, that's always the risk, isn't it? And, I sit before you today and, I'm not proud of what's happened at all.
It's blatant cheating, it's disgraceful, it's not accepted by anyone.
Other instances over the years have included Pakistani star Shahid Afridi's biting of the ball in 2010 that got him a 2-match ban, and more recently Protea skipper Faf du Plessis for using mints against Australia in 2016. But this case, with its high degree of planning, has rocked the game worldwide. There will be serious repercussions.
When we come back, we'll take a look at some boxing news. Stick around for that.
True Kai Sports.
Welcome back to True Kai Sports. The verbal jabs are coming hard and fast from Kiwi heavyweight Joseph Parker ahead of his showdown with Anthony Joshua next weekend. Looking leaner and fitter than ever, Parker taunted Joshua for copping his weight loss and for being boring.
If you're Joseph Parker, you can rock sunglasses inside. Dressed the part with his new London flat cap, Parker's dapper get-up concealing a surprise for opponent Anthony Joshua.
And I feel like I am in the best shape. I think you guys can tell off my face being a bit skinnier than the last time I was here. And also I'm starting to see some abs come along, which is a very good sign.
Abs and all, Parker's expected to weigh in around 108 kilos. He was 112.9 kgs for his last fight with Hughie Fury, earning him some uncharitable nicknames from the Brits.
King of Pies!
What's your nickname? Can I give him a nickname?
What do you say to anyone that calls you the pie eater now?
You know, I love pies on my off season. This camp, Kev, tell them there's been no pies.
Parker's heavyweight sparring partner Malik Scott says the pie eater quips helped motivate the trim down.
Joe may say that didn't get under his skin, but if you see his body now, that had to matter to him because his body is totally different now. Like, you know, I took a picture of him the other day after we sparred. I can't even show you guys, but he's cut up like a bag of dope.
But he's not the only one. Anthony Joshua's also been working at coming in lighter for the clash in Cardiff.
You know, he's trying to be leaner, trying to be faster, better movement. So I don't know if he's trying to be him or me.
And this was Parker's response to Joshua calling him weird.
It's very interesting that he said that because it's very, I know he's sort of stepped out of his comfort zone and said something interesting. He's been boring lately.
So it's the battle between the weird and the boring. The bookies have Anthony Joshua as the clear favourite, but Joseph Parker is lean, fit, fast and confident. And it's arguably better to be a bit weird than to be boring.
And that's a wrap for True Kai Sports, with the details coming up next.
True Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
Looking at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in the southern region only, fine although cloudy at times in Port Moresby and fine weather in Daru, Kerema, Alatau and Popondetta.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
And that's the news for Sunday, the 25th of March 2018. On behalf of the entire EMTV news crew, pleasant viewing. Good night.